Hey everyone, my name is Sai. I am the co-founder of Crowdcast and host of Creatorcast. So if you're in here, welcome. You might be wondering, what is Creatorcast? So it's a show that's really focused on helping you navigate this crazy and complicated world of online, business. And, we basically dive into the journey of some of the most impressive creators that we know. So I'm really excited to just kind of dig in and show you some of the, just kind of dig into the conversation and chat with our guests today. But before I do that, just some housekeeping. So we are streaming out to Facebook Live and YouTube. So if you're watching on Facebook and YouTube, hey there, there's a link up above somewhere or maybe underneath this video. Click on that. That's going to bring you to Crowdcast, where you can actually come up on screen, ask questions here, meet everybody else in the chat. So make sure to click that. We do have the ability to take questions, so make sure to drop them in. You'll see this Ask a Question text underneath our video where you can submit your question and hit enter, and then upvote anyone else's question that you would want us to cover. Towards the end, we're going to dive into the Q&A, so make sure to get those questions in there soon. It looks like Joaquim is already on it. So yeah, I'd love to know, where in the world are you guys tuning in from? I see Joaquim's from Stockholm, Margot from Oregon. Hello, Matt and Riley and Donald. Hola. Welcome, guys. And we see some more folks streaming in. I see Mom's Kim Code is here. Marcelo, Missouri, snowy Pittsburgh. Yeah, I totally understand. So I do want to just jump in and kind of get into our conversation here. I'm super excited to have Nelson from Webflow. Now, Nelson is essentially one of the folks that's the host of the Webflow channel on Crowdcast. And I've just been really amazed by the conversations, the workshops, the interviews, the product launches that Nelson and the team at Webflow have been doing, and just been doing a really effective job at using live video to engage the community and grow their audience. And there's just a lot to show, a lot to talk about there, because I think it's a new world that some of the most cutting edge companies like Webflow is starting to do and realize the value of live video. So without further ado, I'm going to bring on Nelson. Hey, welcome.
Hello.
So thank you for coming on. I know you got a billion things that you are doing, and you're always on air at Crowdcast. But one of the things that I really like to sort of jump in on, because I really want to get to know you as well in your journey at Webflow and sort of how you got involved. But one of the things I want to do is just kind of go all the way to the beginning. Like, where did you grow up? Were you always interested in web design? How did it all get started?
Yeah. First, thanks for having me. Crowdcast is a really fun tool to use, and Webflow. I first found Crowdcast just by asking some friends what to use, because I really want to engage with the community more in a live sense, and it really works out for us. Also, as far as my actual beginning of my web design story, it's I guess I was 13 at the time, and my classmate told me, "Hey, I made a web page," and he said it over AOL Instant Messenger, right? And I was like, "What?" I was like, "What is a web page?" And he sent me a link, and all it says, it was in like Times New Roman, black font, white background, very default, no pictures even, and it just said, "My name is Erwin. I'm 13, and here are my hobbies." And I was like, "Whoa! You made something on your screen, and then I'm able to see it on mine." Mind blown. I said, "How did you make this? Show me how you made this." And next thing you know, he showed me this thing called AOL member pages. I got into that, and I dove in. I was like, "Oh, this is really cool," and I wanted to learn more. And I found this thing called GeoCities, and I wanted to. Yep. And I remember playing with the wizard or something, the web page wizard. And I would build something on the webpage wizard and then switch to advanced mode, and I would see all this weird code, and I'm like, okay, this does this. Okay, if I change something here on advanced, what does it do in basic? And vice versa. And that's how I started to learn HTML. I was so enthusiastic about it that during my high school years, I was like, doesn't anyone else make web pages? There should be a club or something. I mean, come on. And there was no club. And I wanted to find a community of other people who make web pages.
Now, was
And
this in San Diego?
yes, this is in San Diego. And it got to the point where I'm like, I wanted to make the community, that I took over my computer class. I said to my teacher, hey, for like 2 days or whatever, can I show people this thing called HTML? And of course, the teacher was like, yeah, sure. I don't have to do anything, and you're going to teach. That's fine. And so I was writing HTML board on the, writing HTML on the dry erase board and showing people how to write HTML. Wow. Because I wanted them to enjoy it. And it was fun. And that's how I started with web design. It's been a hobby ever since.
Wow. Yeah. I got started on GeoCities as well. That was like
nice
days back in elementary school. So you're getting into that, and then did you decide at some point to pursue that, or was it just kind of something that fell into your lap?
So I just kept wanting to make web pages, and then I was able to make a web page for a friend who then paid me. Sent me a check for $75.
Wow!
And as a high schooler, I was like, you know how many chips I can buy with this? Oh my gosh, this is nuts! I can make money off of making a web. And I said, this is it. I have to dive into this more, and more. As I finally found one or two other friends who would make web pages, they would show me, hey, I made this. And I was kind of I have a competitive nature to myself where I'm like, oh, you can do that. I want to learn that and do it better. And so one person showed me Flash, and it was just like a card with a spade, and it was like pulsing. The spade was pulsing. And I was like, that blew my mind. What is this thing called Flash? I need to learn it, and I need to do it better than you. And then it just kept going on and on and on.
Wow. Yeah, that's fun. I mean, basically you got to just follow that curiosity, and it just, luckily the world was changing, and that thing that was super fun for you suddenly was a valuable skill, and you were able to kind of, lean into that and make a living from it.
Yeah.
So then did you study this in college, and how did you end up going to the business afterwards?
I have to thank my dad. Well, first I was just doing it freelance. After making a web page for a friend, I was like, okay, I want to make more web pages for actual businesses. And so I'm able to find friends of friends who are like, oh, hey, I know Nelson makes web pages. You should talk to him to make a web page or a website. And that's how I'd get clients, just word of mouth. And it wasn't a lot of business, but my first break was when my father was able to help me get my first in-house webmaster at the time job as a civilian contractor for the military for a certain branch or something that he worked for. And so I just started as a webmaster there, and then went from job to job to job to job as a web designer, and now I'm at Webflow.
It's funny, like how big of a jump that is from Page Builder and GeoCities to what Webflow is right now. I think there's a lot of folks in here who might not know what Webflow is. So before we get into that stuff, do you want to give us just a quick Spark Notes on what is Webflow for someone who's never heard of it?
Webflow is a professional web design tool that allows designers to build for the web with many of the technical barriers that's stopping designers for really building beautiful designs on the web. It removes a lot of those technical barriers, like setting up servers, making databases, setting up an e-commerce site, or having to learn almost everything or all the properties of CSS, and making sure that everything is cross-browser and cross-device compatible. So, in a nutshell, that's what it does.
Yeah, and it's pretty mind-blowing. I mean, I yeah, we dove into it and eventually decided to move our whole blog over to it because it was just so beautiful and powerful. So the Crowdcast blog is running on Webflow.
Nice.
So that's okay. Yeah. So that's Webflow. We'll get more into that as well. Now, when you first joined the company, were they looking for specifically people in community building, or was that something you found yourself gravitated towards?
No, they weren't looking for anyone to build the community at the time when I started. Back in 2015, I started, and I was just there to help with the customer support tickets. But I've always had a passion, and I told our CEO on my first day when he asked, like, what is your main goal? What is your long-term goal for being with this company? And I kept saying community management, building the community. And the reason why is because how I learned about Webflow was July 2013 at a web design conference. And there was this one speaker talking about all the current and upcoming tools. And one of the tools that the speaker talked about was Webflow. And after the talk, I went to the website, and it was just a static page that said, hey, here's what Webflow is trying to achieve. Leave your email and you may get closed beta access. Dropped in my email. Didn't hear about it until a week later. I think a week later, and I was at my job at that time, and I played around with it. I went in and played around with Webflow for an hour, just an hour, and it blew my mind. I said, this is the future of web design. I need to tell people, and I need to show them how to use it, because this is going to blow people's minds. And it's just that same passion that I had back in high school when I was taking over my computer lab class and wanting to show people this mind-blowing thing called HTML. And sorry, I lost my train of thought.
Yeah.
Where was I?
Yeah. I mean, so you basically were blown away by seeing this at a conference.
Oh, yes. After I was blown away, I went on Reddit and I said, hey, everyone, this is the thing. You got to check it out. And of course, Reddit, being Reddit, was like, no, get away from us. And I'm like, okay, fine. And I saw that Webflow had an official forum, community forum. And I was like, I'm going to join this. And I'm going to help people learn it. And these are my people. I love hanging out here. And so I joined the community. And then I didn't stop there. On my free time, I would go to meetups and talk about Webflow, present Webflow. And I started my YouTube channel because of Webflow, because I was like, I need to tell more people about it. And so for 2.5 years of my own free time, I just wanted to help the community and tell more and more people about Webflow.
So you were just like marketing them just because of your pure excitement, enthusiasm for what you saw.
Exactly, because the tool felt natural, and the way that the staff presented themselves was real and honest, and I loved it. And 2.5 years later, I get an email from the CEO asking if I wanted to join the team, and I was like, of course. And so everything I'm doing now is exactly what I've been doing since that first hour of playing around with Webflow.
That's pretty amazing. The fact that, yeah, I mean, you get to now get paid for the thing that you're going to be doing anyway. That's Erica from Momskin Code, I think, who is very excited about that. Wow, that's cool. And so there's so many things that I could go deeper into. One of the things that's pretty amazing is that Webflow is a really great example of a company that's showing how important it is to cultivate community and how that has a direct business, like bottom line ROI. Like one of the things that I was surprised by, because if you guys have ever played around with web design tools like Sketch or Figma or things like that, or Sketch probably is a better example. It's a tool. It's a tool that you use to build something. When you go into Webflow, the tool is there, but right built into the tool is the community. Like you just click on the tab, and there's designs upon designs upon designs from some of the world's best web designers, creators. who are using Webflow to showcase what's possible. And then you can just be like, I'm going to copy that design. and then you can actually learn from like some of the stuff that Nelson's been doing. He'll just have it on his Webflow page. And you can actually just like copy it and kind of see, oh, how did he put these things together? And that network effect of community is just like very, very powerful. So it's cool that that also led to even a hiring process, right? So being able to cultivate the community leads to finding the most excited people who can ultimately be a part of the company and help drive that even forward. So has that been like a strategy almost? Was that like intentional in the way that the company has been growing?
As far as the team I'm with, the customer success team, and the QA team, is 90% of both of those teams actually came from the forums. We are all dedicated Webflow fans that have always been answering questions on the forums and celebrating each other's successes and just helping the community in general. And we have this program for the community moderators. And those are that program is for anyone who we see that are really helping out. And my own boss, Waldo, I was the one who brought him into the community moderators program. And then from there, he was hired on. And it just comes to show that our team is really dedicated and we really want to help the community not only grow, but to become better at what they do, because Webflow is just a tool. But when it comes to freelance web design or even agencies, it's what's the personality, what's the work, what's the work style of the person, who's going to be working on my project. That's what clients are mainly looking for. Can I trust this person? And will they make some great work? And hopefully with Webflow, we can help designers streamline their processes and help them execute on their grand ideas.
Mm-hmm. That's amazing. If you guys have any questions, by the way, for Webflow, for Nelson, remember there's an ask a question button there, and we'll get to that towards the end. And for the folks that are tuning in, make sure to share the Crowdcast link with your friends, especially if they're interested in building a community around startups and businesses. Now, it sounds like you guys were sort of pretty strong already when it came to community and having a forum and having that pretty well thought out. And having community a part of the product itself, which is pretty amazing. How did introducing live video affect that? And when did that happen?
So the live workshops actually started before I was on board. It was started by two of our alumni, Will Wong and Matt Vogels. And they would just go on YouTube, press go live and share their screen and say, okay, here's how you build something in Webflow. And at the time, not many people knew about Webflow. So not many people in live chat room watching live. But during work, I would be in there like celebrating those live streams. I always liked it when I was acknowledged or something when I'm just typing in chat, and so it was fun. And when I became part of the team, I asked if I can help do those live streams, and they said sure. And I guess that's where I got started with live streams, was just, hey, that's how they do it. I want to do it too. And I want to also see how I can evolve this to a point where the community we can interact with the community a little bit more.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Cool. And then so it sounds like, live video has been kind of part of the strategy from the beginning. And then what was the interest in using something like Crowdcast over the free tools that are out there, like YouTube or Facebook Live?
So the things that we love about Crowdcast is the restreaming was one of the big ones. Was one of the fact that we can stream it to Facebook and YouTube all at the same time, as well as Crowdcast. And then the ask a question really, really helps for when we're doing sneak peeks or first looks at a new feature, as well as our quarterly live Q&A sessions with our CEO. So those are really, really helpful to us. That's why we chose it.
Cool. Yeah, yeah. Those are both like very interactive features, which is sort of the niche that we're trying to focus on. Um, that's cool. And then, how has it evolved? I mean, you guys have done a wide variety of events, right? You guys have done workshops and Q&As and product announcements. In your experience, what has been the most effective use of hosting live events between those things, and what are some things you guys are kind of experimenting with in the future?
I guess experimenting with using the studio more and see what else we can do with our live streams to bring the community in and more. And only used the studio, our new studio, twice, and it's having the ask a question button is a really big help, and having the quality of 1080p streaming from Crowdcast like really helps us out to make our streams like high quality and still interactive. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Now, are you guys doing more and more of like workshops over? I mean, product announcements come every so often, right? So is that the current sort of strategy, is to focus on live coding demonstrations as a form of like sort of community engagement and education?
Yeah. And before this stream, I told you that even though I've been using Webflow for the whole life of the product, basically, I still feel like I've scratched the surface. And whenever I find out how to do something new, or I challenge myself to do something, I want to show it to the world. I want to show the community, hey, here's how you do this. Like something that looks complicated, like a complicated web page made by like Apple or something like that. I want to break it down in the most basic way as possible, just to make it super simple for people to latch onto and say, you know what? That's not that hard at all. If I use Webflow, I can actually do this. And that's what we want to do. That's our biggest mission, is to empower designers. And that's what I want to do with, that's what we've been doing with our live streams when it comes to the workshops, is to empower people to see how easy it is to build something that looks complicated.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys have watched in the audience the Webflow 101 videos. There's basically like a video series that's just like so well made that it's just mind blowing. A video series that's that really is well edited and well prepared and really well voiceover. That has clearly demonstrate how great at education, I would say, Webflow is at, and how core that is to the success of Webflow. So that is just like a recorded example, but it sounds like you guys have pretty much thought a lot about like, how do we make sure we're communicating a lot? We're communicating a lot over video, over help articles, over live video, to consistently educate and train people, because ultimately we recognize, hey, this can be a complicated tool, and our whole goal is to make it as simple as possible. So that's just really cool to see, like, how much thought has gone into that.
Props to the education team. The person who leads that team is McGuire. He's also doing the voiceovers, and actually his personality is exactly like his voiceovers. He's great. That funny and talks that fast. And then helping him out is Stacy, and writing the articles is Anna. And go to university.webflow.com and just watch some of those videos. They're really short, like 3 to 5 minutes each, and it's easy to consume and understand the basics of Webflow. And he and his team do such a fantastic job, and I can't give him enough props for it, because every time they come up with a new video, it's just, even I already know web design, but I still need to watch those beginner videos because I'm waiting for that joke, but at the same time I'm learning something, so it's really fun.
It's really amazing when a company can have a really good balance of humor and education. Riley's like, the quality of Webflow's education kind of is so on point. The clout is strong. Another great example of like a company that's doing a great job balancing that, I would say, is Wistia. I don't know if you guys saw they have this amazing series called 110-100, where they ended up hiring Sandwich Video, which is probably the most
Oh,
famous. Actually, I think Webflow's video is from
yeah.
Sandwich Video. Um,
Oh, yeah.
so they hired Sandwich Video to basically make a an ad for $1,000, for $10,000, and for $100,000. The same exact ad, same exact product. Their product called Soapbox, and the whole idea was, how does the creativity process and money affect the quality of that video, and does it actually matter at the end of the day? Like what are the things that actually matter? But if you watch it, it's just like so well balanced in terms of informational, educational, funny, and just well balanced. I don't know, and so you just end up leaving it feeling like, wow, I really like this company as a whole, and trust that their future content, the future work that they're going to do, is something that is going to be valuable because they really get this piece.
Yeah. I think I've seen a YouTube video kind of like that. This artist who would draw and say, okay, I got 10 minutes to draw this. Like I have 10 minutes to draw Iron Man, and 1 minute, and I don't know, 10, like 1 hour, and then 10 minutes, and then 1 minute, and then you could just see how bad it gets towards the end. But he's like having fun and everything, and so you kind of go into that journey too. So yeah, but I gotta check out that one. Wistia's, what is it?
It's called 110-100.
110-100. Yeah, I'll check that out.
Yeah, definitely check it out. Yeah, I mean, so I'd love to go a little bit deeper on this sort of higher level stuff around the fact that ultimately it sounds like you guys are having success by being more transparent, being more sort of community minded, and engaging the community. Do you think that this is that's been a big piece of helping build the marketing around Webflow?
Yeah. And when Webflow started, there was hardly any marketing, and I don't think there wasn't much money put into marketing, not even an actual marketing department, until the beginning of this year, I think, or maybe the end of last year, or something like that. Like it was mainly word of mouth, and it's kind of those things where a community will grow itself if the product is honest and good. Yeah, I mean, you look at Tesla, how much money do they spend on marketing? Do you see any ads on Super Bowl or anything, or any like ads on traditional TV or whatnot? Not even billboards, right? And you have all these communities that actually just created themselves, and that's what I think it is. It's just focus on your product, and the community will back you up if it's good enough. And that's how honest we are. As far as the co-founders, it starts with the co-founders of how honest they are, and they speak on our they post stuff on our forums, they post stuff on Twitter, and they're as honest and real as possible. I remember before I was hired on Webflow, I forgot. I think it was Bryant who called me up on Skype asking me what I thought about a direction they're going with a certain feature. And
wow. That's the CTO, is that right?
Yeah, that's the CTO. To be asked that, is to me was very, very nice, because they actually want to know. They care about my opinion.
So at that scale, how do you guys handle communication with individual people from the community? Is there like, hey, we believe these are the 10 people in the community that we really are thinking like they're all stars, let's keep them in the loop, almost as like a council that we kind of reach out to? Is that how it is, or is it more kind of organic?
Yeah. Well, that's so we do have the community moderators program, the one I was talking about earlier, and we really value their opinions as well as the whole community. But since we see them answering a lot of the questions on the forums and helping the whole team out, we add them to this program, and we give them access or early access to some of our upcoming features. That way we can see if there's any get help with any bugs that we may have missed, or even some opinions to see like, oh, something could be easy. Some of them would say, oh, it should be easier if you did this with this feature, and it's like, that's awesome. And just making sure that they're heard and they get the resources that they need to become better at the tool not only helps them, but just helps the community in general, because they're essentially the loudest voices of the community, and we want to hear them out.
Now, are those community moderators in this program, are they getting any other value besides sort of getting first access to some features?
Oh yeah, well, they get a discount on their account plan for helping us out. Yeah.
Okay, that's interesting. Yeah. So I feel
and also we give them access to a secret Slack channel where they converse and like they help each other out. And there are times when someone's like, hey, how do I answer this question? Kind of like being a support team member, and they're helping each other out as like a support team. And so it's really cool. And it shows that, the community cares about not only the product, but the community itself.
Yeah, and I love that. That sounds amazing. That's cool that you guys have thought truly about the role of community and who the moderators are and how they can have a big say in the development of the product. That's like it feels like a pretty well closed loop. Like a lot of companies don't have a process like that. It's more like, here is the 1,000 requests that are coming in every day from everyone, but we'll just take it and give it to 3 people to kind of process and then come out with an outcome. Like, okay, we're going to focus on these guys, The fact that you guys have like specifically included them as almost like all-star players that have, like a bigger role in the development is pretty powerful. And these are also probably folks who are obviously they're advanced users, but they're also very adept and creative in many ways that that you wouldn't even expect. Because I think we're just before the call we were chatting about how there's like some folks in the community that just create some stuff that's so mind blowing that the creators of the product wouldn't have ever even thought about that. So I guess some of those folks get to say, hey, this is what I think you guys should do. Is that right?
Yeah. Like I said, the community mainly just grows itself, and the team just builds a platform, this tool, and we can only we can only see a small vision of what the design, what the community will do with the tool. But when they start using it, there's so many different ways the tool that could be used, and it just blows our mind. And the fact that we've made the platform where you can share these creations and actually copy it and put it into your own site is, to me, that feature just helps the community right there. It's kind of like video games like Minecraft, like I told you. The team at Microsoft can only do so much, but then it's up to the community to go crazy with it. And it's a joy to see the community take something on dedication.
What are some of like the most creative ways that you've seen the community take the product that you weren't expecting, or you're just blown away by?
Oh man, there's a lot. Let's see here. There's The Digital Bake by Aaron Grieve. He just has a bunch of little UI things and interactions that you can just copy into your own site, and so that's nice. There was this one guy, I forgot his name. He made he made a 3D diorama inside of Webflow, and based on your mouse movement. And I was like, there was no images. It was just all divs, and he used like thousands and thousands of divs or something, and it was just nutty. It's too much for a processor, for a computer processor. But I mean, the fact that he was able to do that inside Webflow is nuts. And I don't think of any more. There's just so many mind-blowing things, and you can check out the on Webflow we have a showcase tab, and you can just see like all the cool stuff that people are building inside of Webflow. And we just got started with e-commerce, so where's that what's the community gonna do with that? The fact that you can style a whole e-commerce user flow, without coding. Even the checkout widget, the cart widget, add to cart button, checkout page, order confirmation page. You can do whatever you want with it, and I'm excited to see what the community does with it.
I'm excited to see. Yeah, I mean, ultimately, there's so many boring shopping websites out there that are just kind of cookie cutter. For those that don't know, basically, Webflow released, or is it released? Is it official?
Yeah, in beta.
It's beta. Okay. The ability to kind of create a shopping experience. So imagine taking Photoshop and building a web store. That's possible at this point. And so, I'm excited to see what are some of the creative ways people are creating and reimagining this, the more traditional like Shopify, template style websites.
Yeah. I mean, one thing I would love this may take some custom coding, but like I've always wanted to build some sort of Iron Man HUD where it follows your face or follows your eyes, eye tracking or something.
Yeah.
And like with Webflow, have the interactions do mouse parallax where it's kind of like you're in a virtual HUD, something like that, and make it a shopping experience too. I don't know, like why not? So it's just those kind of things that people will dream up. I love it when people push Webflow to its limits, to the point it's like, okay, Webflow can't do this, but it shows us that, hey, maybe it can in the near future. And yeah.
That's cool. I mean, not to get too nerdy, but I mean, in theory, you could do face tracking with WebRTC and kind of like create some sort of, Iron Man type experience in the browser.
Not nerdy at all. I would love to try that out. But again, I'm not much of a coder, but I really want to see how it can happen.
Wow, that's cool. Overall, it sounds like I think the biggest sort of takeaways from a lot of this stuff is that there are significant network effects built in when you have community integrated into the product. And those network effects lead to marketing and sales and growth in terms of in ways that are almost exponential and unpredictable. So it's something that's really, really important to keep in mind, and that involves the manual process, which is often a difficult process of almost designing the product around community and being there to manage that community, which is like a whole product on its own. With that, do you guys have like a community management team? Like how does that happen? Is there people who are specifically dedicated to engaging and kind of energizing the Webflow form?
So as far as the team goes, it's we hired an official community manager named Anais, and she's in Berlin, and she's the one who she used to have a community management role in a different company with a ton more community members, and I'm learning off of her, and it's really awesome to work with her. So we don't really have a team, but we're in two different actual teams. She's in marketing and I'm in customer success, but we're trying to find ways to grow this community as organically as possible. And one of the things we started doing at the beginning of this quarter was pushing hard on meetups, because like I said, our community is super dedicated about Webflow and wants to tell their local community about it. And so now we're helping those people by creating a meetup page and then actually setting it up for them. And we'll give them the resources, whatever they need to help create that community. And now we have over 20 meetups worldwide and over 3,000 members.
Oh, that's awesome. Okay. Nice.
And we just want more people to, if they love Webflow so much and they want to share with the local community, they can hopefully find one in their area.
So this brings up a whole other thing, which is, have you guys considered hosting like conferences and summits? Obviously, you're doing meetups already within specific regions, right? have you guys considered a physical conference to bring together the community?
That is a dream of mine. And there's we're not planning any, but it would be awesome. So this is my own opinion. This is not the company's opinion or saying this is just
your
me
secret
as a
agenda with the
fan.
company. Okay.
As a, and I've told people on the team about like how I would love this. I would. My own personal dream is to be with a bunch of other web design, Webflow geeks at a conference, and this conference would have like 3 tracks. It would be so cool to have 3 tracks, like one just for design, and then one for developers who want to develop things for Webflow, and then one for business management for like e-commerce or freelancing business or whatever. Mm-hmm. And I think that would be really cool because that's what Webflow helps. It helps all 3 people. It helps designers design better, helps developers build faster. And as far as their clients, it helps them build maintain their site easier because they don't have to learn code or a completely weird dashboard that doesn't look anything like their site, and they can focus on their business, which is what they should be focusing anyways.
Yeah, I think that's super exciting if that happens. That said, I don't know if you know, there's a platform called Creatorcast that lets you host virtual summits, and that's a very popular use case. We have like multi-thousand summits almost every week, I would say. But yeah, it's if you guys wanted to sort of try out a smaller test case, instead of doing like a workshop, it would be more like, I don't know, a 6-session 1-day summit for the Webflow community that you have the different speakers coming through every hour. There's actually 2 summits happening as I'm speaking. One is from ShayConf. It's called ShayConf from Red Hat. Actually, Red Hat's one of is hosting the conference right now. The other one, I forget which company. It's called SiriusCon. It's like data modeling or something like that. But these are very technical conferences.
Pretty serious.
Yeah, these are both very serious technical conferences. But if you guys are doing meetups, like it's very much in the fit. So I would definitely, love to help you guys out to host some Webflow community like conferences or online summits that are like, a day long, and they could be at different topics too. One for business, one for developers, one for designers or something.
That sounds interesting. Yeah, I'll pitch that to the team. Yeah.
And if you guys like Riley, like post that on the forum.
Yeah.
We are approaching our 45-minute mark here. To Adrian saying the meetup thing's awesome. As a self-employed husband and wife team for 10 years, we saw a huge growth in-person meetings until maybe about 2014, a steep decline. Yeah, in the photography industry. Yeah, that's really interesting. What we are seeing at Crowdcast is that one of the things that is helping us sort of move forward is there's a lot of interest in bringing people together. And we've been sort of, I think of it as like there's been a swing in a deep direction of kind of disconnection, and social media kind of being used in kind of unintentional ways or very intentionally negative ways to create like less community. And so people are kind of seeking that again, and platforms like Crowdcast, we're hoping to bring people together in an authentic way, which is literally live video, right? It's hard to be inauthentic when you can't edit everything out. So, we're just hoping to bring people together and cultivate community and authenticity through that. So, we are seeing that there's kind of a new wave coming that I think Webflow is a good example, kind of leading the way for bigger organizations. I feel like whenever there's waves of change, it starts with the smallest people, right? And it gets suddenly bigger, maybe 3 groups of 3, and then eventually small companies, and then startups, and maybe like years down, you get to the enterprise guys, right? But the fact that a company as big as Webflow is serious about this stuff and is kind of experimenting this way is a good sign that it's getting more and more momentum.
Yep. And with the growth of a lot of big live streaming platforms, a lot more companies, are coming up like Twitch and YouTube and Facebook Live, and it's nice that Crowdcast can restream to those. and latch on to the growth of community, because a lot of things that I'm trying on the Webflow workshops is based off of what I see on what's happening on Twitch and YouTube. It's like how they grow the community and how real they are. And just like you said, when live is more honest, whereas edited video, anyone can do and edit out parts that they don't want. It's not as authentic. And so I love doing these. I love doing things live because it's real, and that's what we need in this time. We need more real. We need more honesty, and you can't get away from honesty when it's live.
That's a great place to end, actually. So the last question I'd love to actually ask you is what I like asking at the end of all of our episodes here is, so we have a lot of folks in the community that are just getting started, in their business, in their creator journey. What advice would you give them, whether it's business advice or maybe advice around, building a community online? What advice would you give them, to basically for the folks who are just getting started?
Be genuine to be thankful and be genuine to each person that comes to your live stream, comes to your meetup, comes to have a coffee chat with you. Be as real and honest as possible and empower them. The value that you are giving to that person is what can set you apart. And so one of the YouTube videos that I made or one of the blogs that I made was talking about how time is the most important currency, because it is the only currency that you cannot get back. You can only spend time, you cannot get it back. And so when someone is spending their time to watch you on a live stream, to meet you at a meetup, or to meet you at a coffee chat, they're spending their life, some of their life's time with you. So be grateful for that, thank them, and give them that value, and show them and help them in whatever they can do. And when you're honest like that, they will tell a friend, and then they will tell a friend, and that's how community grows. So if one person only comes to your meetup, who cares? That person is the most awesome person. If 2 people show up at your live stream, and if you're only focusing on the number of people and not the actual time that those people are spending with you, then that's not how you grow community. And so, give them that value.
Right on. That's beautiful. Yeah, I 100% agree with all of that. So with that, thank you so much, Nelson, for coming on Creatorcast, for sharing the journey that you've been on with Webflow. And it's so cool that you get to do what you love and get paid for it, So I really appreciate you coming on. And if you guys want to follow Webflow, you can actually hover over Nelson's face if you're in Crowdcast. Remember to click that link between us here. And right above his chest, I would say right there, if you just hover over, there's a Webflow icon. Hover over that and you can actually follow them. So exactly, perfect. You can follow them. So next time they go live, and when is the next event, by the way?
Next Tuesday at 10 a.m. Pacific, I will be doing another Webflow build of something. And then also the week after, Tuesday at 10 a.m. Pacific, quarterly live Q&A session with our CEO. So you can ask him anything about the history, the present, or the future of Webflow.
Awesome. Yeah, and yes, follow their channel on Crowdcast so you guys can join Nelson next time. So Nelson, thank you so much, and I'll see you next time.
Thank you. All right, see ya.
So with that, I just want to thank Nelson again. Like that was amazing. Like there's so much just sort of wisdom in what they're doing at Webflow and how Nelson's helping navigate the community ship there. Because as you saw, it really does lead to some serious marketing and sales and direct ROI. So it's super important that people focus on that. With that, I know we touched a little bit on sort of online summits and doing these virtual conferences. Well, in our next episode of Creatorcast, we're going to dig into that specifically. So you're going to see in Crowdcast a little button show up right now. Boom. That is going to take you to episode 7? Yeah, episode 7 with Vasil. I'm probably going to butcher his last name, Azarov. Vasil is a good friend who has been hosting many online summits on Crowdcast. The last one, they had, I think, over 8,000 people come together just last month. So if you are interested in hosting online summits and big events like that really gather the whole community together in a very short amount of time, you definitely want to register for the next episode that's going live in exactly 2 weeks. And if you guys aren't already following the Creatorcast channel, follow, over, if you go to the top of the screen, you'll see there's a follow button there. You could also hover over my name right over here, and you can do that. So with that, thank you so much, everyone, for spending your time with us, hanging out with us, and digging into all of this stuff. And I hope you guys have an amazing day, and I'll see you next time.